people on just one issue. Say that 60 million people said, we don't want Obamacare anymore. And 60 million people descended or sent letters, faxes, or whatever else to the Congress. They would essentially bury them. And we wouldn't have Obamacare if, in the event, we got 60 million people of one mind to do one thing. But we're all fractured. We're going in every 100 different directions.
The article I'm working on right now is about psychological warfare, and that's exactly what it is. It's divide and conquer, Ron.
You got it.
And you actually hit on it. Well, you know, and somebody just told me, well, Clay, you know, I've been talking to people, and they say they won't help you because of your stand on marijuana. I see they've got a problem. It's not a stand on marijuana, it's a stand on hemp. It's a stand on the plant. It's a stand on the police state. Because anytime a man can walk up with a badge and say, let's see what you got in your pocket, son, you're in a police state.
Sure you are. Or they come into your house and the Supreme Court just ruled that if the police are standing on your doorstep and they think you're trying to bury evidence or something like that, in other words, they have an inkling that you're doing something wrong in there, they can come in without a warrant. So they broadened the conditions under which the police can enter your home, and so they have essentially diluted the Fourth Amendment.
They just shot a 17-year-old because they thought he was trying to flush some marijuana down the toilet.
They shot him?
Yeah. And they also kicked in the door of a Iraqi veteran right here in Tucson last month. The Oath Keepers came here. We had a memorial for him, and his wife was given a plaque, you know, big consolation. But the SWAT team kicked open the door, and he was walking down the hall because his wife had told him there was a guy with a gun outside the house, and he's walking to the front door with his rifle in his hand with the safety on, and they shot him 60 times.
Oh, good Lord. Oh, geez. And he was a veteran?
Veteran, yes, sir. And he'd just gotten off work, and he came home, and his wife looked outside and saw a bunch of SWAT team members all in black running around. One of them had a gun drawn.
Of course.
And he had a child. I mean, his wife and child. He put them in the closet and they shot him in his hallway.
Wow.
This is the militarization of the police. It's the mindset, and at the same time, the psychological warfare is they've started attacking Tea Party members, trying to call them racist. Oh, you know
what they're doing now? The Internal Revenue Service is sending out warning letters to Tea Party associations that have filed as a 501c3, asking for a blizzard of information on what they're doing. But they haven't done that to Media Matters, who is blatant, is also a 501c3, and is blatant politically. They have direct ties to the White House. They feed information to MSNBC and NBC and whatever else. And so essentially this is an assault on those people who are essentially rising up and saying, hey, we're going to resist what government is doing. So government's response is, yeah, well, we're going to make it really hard for you. But this goes to the idea that if you set up an organization and call it a 501c3 so you can raise tax-free money, you just put your hands in the handcuffs of the IRS. And I've had an argument with this. When we formed the National Association of Rural Landowners, we refused to go to the 501c3, and maybe we paid a price for that. But when you do that, you end up hampering yourself from some of the things that you want to do. You cannot be political, and yet a lot of the environmental groups and the social groups, they're 501c3s, and they're doing all kinds of stuff that is political.
If you raise money for Israel, it'll be okay. We'll make some arrangements for you.
Yeah, well, if you raise money for any left-leaning cause like the environment or social concerns, you're good guys. But if you stick your head above the noise level and say that you're going to resist this essentially conquering of the American people and the dissolution of its sovereignty and its constitution, you're a bad guy and you have to be investigated. You have to be put down. And of course, they do this on purpose.
They did that in almost 8 years ago. The FBI put out a booklet called Guide to Right-Wing Extremists, and I was in it. There I was, Free American and Clay Douglas, and I called up Governor Gary Johnson. I said, Gary, they got me in a booklet in the FBI. You know, what the hell's going on here? Don't worry about it, Clay.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
I don't worry about it.
That's easy for you to say, Governor. I think they're trying to get me killed here. And the next call I made was to the chief of police of the state of New Mexico, who was listed in the FBI booklet as a contact. And I said, hey, what's going on here? And he said, Clay, you don't have a thing to worry about from me and any of my men. I've been reading your magazine for 10 years. You know. I said, yeah, but what about a cop in Podunk, Socorro, New Mexico? He may think I'm some kind of dangerous character and end up shooting me. I think that's what they're trying to get me set up for. And he said, don't worry about it, man. The governor recalled every one of those booklets from every police office in New Mexico, but I guess they're still out in Arizona. And,
well, yeah.
and the SPLC,
not safe in Arizona, huh?
the SPLC.
Oh, I know
and
all
the
about
ADL, I mean, they have been after me for 25 years, Ron. Oh, you know, Clay Douglas started the militias.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I did it in the governor's office, asshole. You know, yeah, I certainly did.
You know, they just, yesterday, SPLC released a report. It was on Fox News, and essentially they're saying that the rise of militia in the United States has reached dangerous levels. And you know where that's going. Sheriff Mack is now suing the Southern Poverty Law Center over what they did to him. And I threatened to sue them because they listed me on their list of, wasn't militia, but it was right-wing patriot groups, and they had a list of the negatives. Well, of these groups.
I'm anti-Semitic too. They really throw that in every time I open my mouth anywhere. Anytime I try to go in public, he's anti-Semitic. He's anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Well, now if they would just think why the Tea Party has risen, why the property rights groups have risen, and why the militias have risen, it's because they're scared to death of where this government is headed. And I still, as I say, I don't advocate violence in this thing, because I still think we can beat it through legal process.
The only step I'll take, I will defend myself, and I did start the militias to be able to defend the people of my town, my county, my state.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly, you know, we work for the governor. You know, according to U.S. Code, every able-bodied male in America between the ages 18 and 45 can be called up by the governor.
Sure.
And that's the
now, is that just New Mexico or Arizona?
No, that's the United States.
Okay, all right.
Now, a lot of the states are going back and setting up the state guards because the National Guard got taken over. And in my film, True Face of FEMA, at the first Homeland Security meeting, you know, they're talking about the war, the new war. It's going to be a long war. It's going to be a war, and this is right after FEMA was rolled over into Homeland Security.
Oh, yeah.
They're lecturing law enforcement. I've got it on film. In case of a single outbreak of smallpox in a major metropolitan area, or a nuclear device going off somewhere, or a New Madrid fault, earthquake, something like that, we'll need 400,000 well-armed, well-trained, organized, disciplined troops to control the American people, because some of them just won't follow orders. Are you talking about the National Guard, Colonel? No, they're going to be over in Iraq or Afghanistan or Iran or someplace. No.
By the way, that's illegal for the National Guard to be joining with the military in actual combat, from what I understand, is illegal. I guess that the governor of the state can authorize it, but and I'm a little shaky on the law here, but I don't believe that the government, the federal government, has the right to employ the National Guard, which is designed to protect the state and put them in harm's way in foreign conflict.
We've always had posse comitatus over here, but that NDAA law that just passed, National Defense Authorization Act, lets the president use our regular army against the American people, and it's just from calling me a right-wing extremist to calling me a terrorist is not a very big jump grammatically.
Well, I'm not sure that I follow you. What you mean with that?
Well, I mean, they've been calling me a right-wing extremist. They put me in an FBI booklet, but I walked into the FBI office, dropped a bundle of magazines down, and said, I just wanted to, introduce myself to you. Here's a magazine for everybody in the place. Tell me about Dov Zakheim, if you guys ever talked to him. But, here, and I walked out again. So I'm not a criminal. I haven't done anything wrong.
No, of course not.
I haven't done anything wrong. But
you haven't strayed over the line, and there is a line of criminality. If you start shooting people, you're going to go to jail or be shot.
I have never advocated violence. Who are you going to fight? We're talking about one world government. We're talking about a new world order. We're not talking about the AT&T operator over here being part of the new world order.
No.
Or the nice little Jewish lady next door. Man, she ain't the bad guy. She ain't the bad guy. So this ain't about race, or it's about tyranny. And our Bible is filled with a history of tyranny.
Well, it is 5,000 years old. I mean, it ain't very new, and governments always increase their power if the people allow them to increase their power. And we have for the last 100 years. Or maybe 200, I'm not sure.
We've laid back. We've been lazy. Well, we've been indoctrinated. We've been programmed. We're talking about a really sophisticated psychological warfare, financed with all the money the Rothschilds and Jacob Schiffs and the George Bushes out there got. They hire the best.
Of course they do. As I said, that powerful, wealthy men get together and try to control the masses is not new. But the America was different in that it set up a responsibility of government to protect the individual rights of the individual. But we literally have strayed away because what wasn't included in the Constitution was that it ain't going to work unless the people are responsible enough to not only take care of themselves, but also to hold government accountable. If they don't hold government accountable, let a kid loose in your house and don't let him do it, and don't have any discipline. He'll tear the house apart. And if you
tell me how we can do that. I mean, I have never advocated. I started the militias, but I never advocated shooting anybody. I said the problem we've got, Ron, is how do you fight evil without becoming evil? And if you go out and mow people down and start shooting people because they're this religion or this color or something, then you're the bad guy and you need to be hung. I don't think we are to feed you for a year or two. I think we are to just hang you right away. And I don't think, I do advocate hanging these politicians, but only after a fair trial. Okay?
Of course, that's our system.
And that's what scares the hell out of them, isn't it? That's what they're scared of. That's why they're trying to paint us as radicals.
If we don't pay attention to what they're doing, and we allow 94% of the laws being passed in the Senate are done without debate or without vote, then we're the ones that let it happen. We're the ones that sat in our easy chair and watched Dancing with the Stars and didn't get off our dead butts and go into the local city council or the county council or the state legislature and say, cut this crap out. Go back to the common sense, go back to the Constitution, go back to the duty of government to defend the individual rights that are granted to us by our Creator. And if we don't do that, they will do whatever they damn well please, and they are.
You know, it really is that simple, Ron. And I kind of want to elucidate and have you elucidate a little bit on that point, because I lived out in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. I owned the north half of a two-house town in New Mexico. And we got notice that they were going to have a city council or a county meeting because they wanted to zone our property. And oh yeah, they wanted to put a meter on the well. And I went into town to the county meeting. County commissioners are sitting up there. I'm sitting on the front row. And they brought up this piece of business about zoning. And I said, now let me ask you something. Let me ask you. You want to come out 30 miles outside of the city limits and tell us ranchers, us farmers, what we can do on our own property? What are you trying to do? Get somebody killed? Who's a communist? Who's the communist that brought this kind of crap up? And the little guy sitting next to me goes, that was me. And they voted down zoning in Socorro County. So
this is what I can give people who are listening, if there are a few people out there listening.
They will be.
There is solace to be had in some of this, because sometimes the pendulum takes a long time to start swinging the other way. But I can tell you from my experience, when I started in 2004, I didn't think there was a prayer of saving America. But I am now encouraged by what I'm seeing. There are towns across this country that are telling the International Council on Local Environmental Initiatives, a United Nations Agenda 21 organization, to get lost. They're forcing the counties and the cities to cancel their contracts, which is sending Agenda 21 out of their communities. These kinds of things are going on. More people are showing up at town hall meetings. More people are showing up at city council meetings. More people are showing up at school board meetings. And they're finally saying, what in the holy heck has happened to our country? And you will appreciate my next article, because I cover some of this stuff coming out this Sunday. And by the way, if you will allow me just a shameless plug,
Absolutely.
Our organization's website is www.NARLO, that's N as in Nancy, ARLO.org, standing for the National Association of Rural Landowners. Thank you for allowing me that short plug.
Well, you can make it longer. You got 10 more minutes. You can do more than that, because what we got to do is organize. Now, one of the things that they've done to me, they're doing this to Ron Paul right now, and I believe that Ron Paul is the only person out there, a professional politician, that's really cares about our Constitution. So
I'll buy that. I don't know whether I can see him beating Obama or not, but
well, I believe he can, if people are wake up. If they stop watching the TV, if they turn off the TV and turn on this show and listen to people like you. And now the links to NARLO are up on my site.
Okay, appreciate that.
Every the show is linked, and if you tell everybody on your list about this show, and they go there and they know that we've been I've been doing this for some time, and we got everything's linked here. All of the shows are linked. It'll be up on YouTube. I got 836 episodes up on YouTube. I'm trying to get this kind of information out. And I mean, they can even go there to my archives page at freeamerican.com and hear the show we did on the last month. So I archive everything here, but they're trying to keep me. Great. They're trying to keep me from selling books. They're trying to, I've got the whole history of the Rothschild banking system, in my
Who's
book.
there? Who is there that are trying to stop you?
Well, the ADL, the Southern Poverty Law, somebody, you know, I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to share, this will go be in my next article that I'm doing. I had one of my magazines sold, Thunder Riders here, when I was publishing this in the Free American when I had an accident. And I was taken to the hospital and kept drugged for 3 months for 3 broken ribs. Now, who was doing that? Who was doing that? My family said, oh, the doctors saved your life. I said, they tried to kill me. They drugged me on Halcyon and Haldol. The same Haldol was the same crap that they gave that CIA agent. They busted under the CIA contact. They busted under the Patriot Act. Second person to be busted under the Patriot Act. Second American under the Patriot Act. And they fed her Haldol. They tried to destroy your mind. Now, who was doing that? Who was doing that? I don't know. Somebody showed up in the hospital and said they were CIA. I don't know. And I had this magazine sold after I got out of the hospital. I lost the Free American, but I had this magazine sold. And on November 1st, 2005, MBA Holdings put out a press release on Market Wire that MBA Holdings Incorporated is pleased to announce it has acquired the assets of Arizona Thunder Riders Motorcycle Magazine and other related magazines, and the current publisher and owner, Clay Douglas, sold a majority of the company in a cash or stock deal. A newly limited liability company was opened called MBA Publishing Inc. LLC. Mr. Douglas will retain the title of publisher and percentage of ownership stock in the company.
Well, is that true?
It's true. It's true.
Did you sell it, or did they just take it?
No, I sold it. I signed the contract. I had the contract in my hand on Thursday. By the time I went in on Monday to my new offices listed in this issue of the magazine, the CEO was white and shaking. Clay, I can't go through it. I can't go through it. They're threatening to crash my stock. My stock's dropping like a rock. And somebody's contacted every stockholder in the company to tell them what a right-wing, radical, racist, extremist, anti-Semite you were. And as soon as they say anti-Semite, you know it's coming from the ADL or Southern Poverty Law.
Of course.
And now, who's doing that? I don't know. You know, I don't know who's doing this.
Well, you know, there's the conspiracy floating around that Andrew Breitbart was killed. Now, you know, it's possible that he was killed because of what he was doing and what he knew. But he also had a weak heart, or so we are told he has a weak heart. I haven't heard anything on the autopsy, and who knows whether we would believe the autopsy or not. It is possible that he died of a heart attack at the age of 43. It is also possible that he was killed because of what he knew. We still don't know the whole story behind John Kennedy, as to why he was taken down. There are many conspiracy theories about why he was taken down.
Yeah, I carry one of his $5 bills, issued Executive Order 11110, that says United States note on it. I guess if I ever get really desperate, the value on that's $10,000. So I guess I could trade that in or something.
Well, if you need anything, you know, need a bunch of cash to escape America. I don't know.
I would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. We got about 5 minutes left here. You know, if you go to my site, you will have links to your site. If you can tell people about this radio show, tell people about my books, I'd appreciate that too. All we need is email.
I will do that for you.
I'm going to try. Now, folks out there, I'm looking for some help. I need somebody that's familiar with Amazon, that's familiar with some software. I need to get my books up on Kindle. I got that's on my schedule to do today. So, if you got any knowledge on that end of it, you got any computer experts. You know, we've got, all it takes, we really just got to reach so many, you know, the information you're putting out and the service you're providing. Part of this is organized. The whole plan behind Liberty Villages is not just to go out and take over farms and ranches. Okay. I'm saying you could do it in a 1 square block in your neighborhood. You could turn that into a productive unit if you work together. Productive cooperative if you work together.
Most of the laws in most of the states require any of the agricultural producers to provide housing for their seasonal workers. Would this fit into something like that?
Absolutely. Put 10 teepees on there. If you can roll them up and strap them on top of the station wagon and take them down the road to the next stop. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I would want to provide permanent housing on any one of these farms and ranches for veterans. And the reason for that is twofold. One, they're homeless, a lot of them. Yep. You know, they've been demonized. They're scared to death of them, and they make great guards for your farms, your ranches, and for your family.
Sure.
And
if we get them off the drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. Well, if you move them 30 miles from town, it's hard for them to get the drugs.
That's where we'll get the cold.
Unless you know, they just take whatever comes off of the illegal aliens that are crossing the property. You know.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, let me just put in a couple of plugs here, and that is to all of the rural landowners out there. Your first line of defense is your property line. If you don't protect it, you'll have agents walking over your property because they figure they have the right to trespass. If you don't protect it with no trespassing signs, then they will walk over your property. And we have found that if agents come on your property and gather evidence and they've crossed over a no trespassing sign, that evidence can be ruled inadmissible. And we produce a no trespassing sign that is probably the most powerful, legally intimidating sign on the planet. It's 18 inches by 24 inches, and it has some very powerful language on it. We have sold probably 3,000 of these. They are all over the United States. And so if you are looking to protect your property line, you need to take a look at our website and see what you can do about picking up our no trespassing sign.
You know, what you might do is send me a JPEG of that sign and a link to where they can order the sign on your site, and I'll put it up on the site next to your show here.
Fantastic. All right, appreciate that, Clay. Anything else you want to hit before we got...
No, I think we've just about got it here, except, you know, I want to see this one Liberty Village is all we need to do, and then we can do it as a turnkey business across the country. And basically anybody with 50 or 100 acres, all you got to do is set aside 5 for temporary quarters for your ranch hands and teach them how to do this. I mean, we need to know how to grow our own food, how it's done, how to raise the chickens, I think that's like essential knowledge.
Well, we may need it because if the world financial system collapses, the only people that are going to survive are those that are self-reliant and know how to take care of themselves. I'm 74 years old, but if I had to live in the woods, I could, because I was trained as a young boy and as a young man. But people who live in cities who've never had any experience whatsoever, well, they will be at the mercy of the roving gangs. That's right. Will take whatever they want.
That's right, and that's the value of having the veterans on your land, organizing, putting some property on here, and doing it. All right,
I think we're done.
We're out of there. See ya.
All right,
Thank you.
Take care, Clay.
If you have a taste for truth. How many times have friends of yours who discuss the issues of the day looked at you sort of over the tops of their glasses?
Hey. There we go. All right, freeamerican.com. Go to freeamerican.com, folks. Order my book, Liberty. Go see Liberty Villages. Order my book, Mystery Babylon, New World Order Unveiled. Go to freeamerican.com. Go to libertyvillages.org.